At 3 in the morning, I was woken up by the vibration of my phone. Mary's phone on the bedside table was vibrating wildly. The screen lit up showing the words, Marca. I glanced at my fiancée, sleeping beside me, reached out to turn off the sound, but accidentally swiped open the call button. Mary, are you asleep? I miss you. A deep, ambiguous voice of a stranger came from the phone. My heart instantly jumped to my throat, and I froze in place. Mary? Why aren't you answering? The voice continued. I forced down my shock and lowered my voice to imitate Mary's. I'm asleep. We'll talk tomorrow if there's something. All right, then get some rest. Remember to wear that red dress tomorrow. I like it. The call ended, and my hand holding the phone trembled. Who is Marca? Why was he calling my fiancée at 3 in the morning? And saying he missed her? I carefully put the phone back and turned to look at Mary. She was sleeping soundly, her brows slightly furrowed, and there was a faint smile on her lips that I had never seen before. This woman, who I had been with for 3 years and was about to marry next month, actually had another man calling her late at night on her phone. I couldn't sleep. At dawn, Mary got up as usual to wash and put on makeup. Today, she was wearing that red dress. Do you have an important meeting today? I asked tentatively. Yeah, meeting an important client. She applied lipstick without looking up. Which client is so important? A big project for the company, you wouldn't understand. Her tone was a bit impatient. I'm a programmer, so I really don't understand the design industry, but I know data analysis and how to verify the truth. After Mary left, I immediately turned on my computer and started my investigation. As a senior programmer, I had enough technical skills to dig out the truth. First, I logged into our shared cloud drive account. Mary's photo backups were still syncing automatically. I carefully checked the recent photos and found some anomalies. The weekend last month when she said she stayed overnight at her best friend's house, the photos showed her in a presidential suite of a luxury hotel. In the background of the photos, there were men's suits and ties. My fingers flew over the keyboard, and my heartbeat grew faster. Scrolling further, I found more suspicious points. The working late posts on her moments had GPS locations showing she was in a high-end residential area on the other side of the city. I remembered the housing prices there, definitely not affordable on our ordinary income. What shocked me most was a selfie. Mary was smiling sweetly, and the background was the interior of a Maserati. I was sure this wasn't her friend's car because that car had never appeared in her social circle before. The phone rang. It was Mary calling. George, I might be home late tonight. There are some issues with the company project that need overtime. Okay, take care of yourself. I forced calm. You're so good. Once the project is done, we'll focus on preparing the wedding. Her voice was sweet. After hanging up, I gave a bitter smile. If she was really deceiving me, what wedding was there to prepare? I decided to take a more direct approach. In the afternoon, I took a day off and drove to wait downstairs at Mary's company. She said she had to work overtime. I wanted to see what her overtime looked like. At 5:30, the normal off-work time, I saw Mary walk out of the company building. She didn't head to the parking lot, but got straight into a black Maserati. In the driver's seat was a man about 30 years old, handsome, wearing an expensive suit. They didn't notice me. I followed them from a distance in my car. The Maserati finally stopped in the Riverside luxury residential area, the most expensive neighborhood in the city, where a house starts at least $1.2 million US. I watched Mary walk hand in hand with that man into the community, my heart aching. Is this what she calls working overtime? I waited outside the community for 3 hours, but they never came out. It wasn't until 10 p.m. that Mary sent me a WeChat message. Just finished working overtime, so tired, going straight home. But she was clearly still at that man's house. I drove back to her small apartment and sat in the living room waiting for her to come back. She returned at 1 a.m. with a faint scent of men's cologne on her. Why aren't you asleep yet? She seemed a bit nervous. Waiting for you. Worried you'd be too tired. I really am exhausted today. I'm going to take a shower first. She hurried into the bathroom, and the sound of running water filled the room. I took the opportunity to check her bag and found a restaurant receipt. A star-rated hotel, a candlelight dinner for two. The bill was equivalent to my monthly salary. This was definitely not some work overtime. I took a photo of the receipt for evidence and then put it back. Mary came out of the shower, changed into silk pajamas, looking radiant. "Mary, let's talk." I said. "About what?" "It's late. Can we talk tomorrow?" She yawned. "About our future." She sat beside me, leaning on my shoulder. "Didn't we agree to get married next month? What's there to talk about? Do you think our relationship is still the same as before?" She visibly stiffened. "Why are you asking this all of a sudden? Is it work stress?" "Maybe." I didn't press further. I needed more evidence before confronting her all at once. Since she wanted to play games, I'd play along to the end. I wanted her to know that although programmers don't understand romance, we're very good at collecting data and analyzing evidence. Starting tomorrow, I would enter full investigation mode. The next day was Saturday, and Mary said she was going to do a spa with her best friend. I nodded calmly on the surface, but was already planning my next move inside. "Then I'll stay home and code today. I have a project deadline coming up." I said. "Okay, don't overwork yourself." She kissed my cheek lightly, then grabbed her bag and left. As soon as she left, I opened my laptop. As a programmer, I had some special skills. I secretly installed a location-sharing app on Mary's phone. She thought it was just a regular phone manager. Opening the app, I clearly saw her real-time location, a luxury goods store in a high-end shopping district. That wasn't strange. A spa could indeed be nearby. But half an hour later, her location showed at a men's custom suit shop. I immediately drove there. Through the glass window, I saw a scene that shattered me. Mary was helping a man pick out a suit, their movements intimate like a couple in love. That man was the one who drove the Maserati yesterday. They were laughing outside the fitting room, and Mary even adjusted his tie proactively. My heart sank completely. This was no spa. She was clearly accompanying her lover to buy clothes. I took out my phone and snapped photos of their intimate interaction through the glass. To avoid being noticed, I didn't enter the store but sat in the cafe across the street to keep watching. An hour later, they came out of the store carrying several branded shopping bags. Mary linked arms with the man, and they looked very affectionate. They got into the Maserati, and I continued to follow them by car. This time, they went to the most expensive French restaurant in the city center. I waited outside the restaurant for 2 hours. During that time, Mary sent me a WeChat message. "Doing a face mask. Phone's inconvenient. See you tonight." I looked at the message and smiled bitterly. She was enjoying a candlelight dinner with another man, but told me she was doing a face mask. This woman's lying skills are truly masterful. At 8 in the evening, Mary finally came home. She looked in a great mood, humming a tune as she walked in. "How was your day?" I asked. "Pretty good. Had a full-body spa. Felt completely relaxed," she said with a bright smile. "Which girlfriend did you go with?" "Sophia. You don't know her. I want to meet your friends next time." Her smile stiffened for a moment. "Maybe another day. They're all pretty busy." I nodded and didn't press further. During dinner, I deliberately brought up, "I heard on the news that the French restaurant is quite famous. Maybe we should try it sometime." Mary almost choked on her water. "French restaurant? Which one? The one downtown, what's it called? Bremen or Brea?" "I don't know. I'm not interested in French food." Her voice was a bit tense, but I clearly saw her dining there this afternoon. I continued probing. "I heard their red wine is excellent, especially the 1982 Lafite." "You don't drink red wine." Her reply was stiff. "Indeed, I don't usually drink red wine, but this afternoon, using binoculars, I saw clearly that she and that man were drinking red wine. That man even gallantly poured wine for her." "Mary, we're getting married next month. Is there anything you want to tell me?" I suddenly asked. She was stunned for a moment, then grabbed my hand. "George, do you have something on your mind? Your questions have been strange lately." "No, I just want to confirm that our relationship is still solid." "Of course it is. We're about to be husband and wife." Her eyes flickered nervously. "What if one day you find out the other person has been deceiving you? What would you do?" "Deceiving? What do you mean?" Her voice was clearly nervous. "Just hypothetically, like hiding something important. That depends on what it is. If it's a well-meaning concealment, it should be forgivable. What if it's malicious?" "George, what's wrong with you today? Why ask these hypothetical questions?" She stood up, looking a bit annoyed. "Just chatting casually." I didn't press further, but judging by her reaction, she must feel guilty inside. That night, we went to bed early. After Mary fell asleep, I quietly got up and rummaged through her bag. In a compartment, I found a membership card, a VIP card for a high-end spa. The card was new, probably just issued recently. More importantly, the registration date on the card was today, but the cardholder's name wasn't Mary's. It was a man named Mark. My heart raced. This meant the mysterious man's name was Mark, and this spa card was issued to him for Mary's use. A man getting a spa membership card for a woman speaks volumes. I kept searching and found a photo in a secret compartment of her wallet. In the photo, Mary and Mark were standing by the sea, with a luxury yacht in the background, embracing as they watched the sunset. I had never seen this photo before, and, judging by their clothes, it was taken recently. I remembered Mary saying last month that she spent a weekend at her best friend's house. It seems she actually went on vacation with this Mark. I took photos and then carefully put them back in place. The evidence is piling up, but I still need more direct proof. I have to find their chat records to see what their relationship really is and how long it has lasted. Tomorrow is Sunday, and I need to make a more detailed investigation plan. It's time to let this liar know that she's not dealing with an ordinary person, but a programmer with high-tech means. The game has just begun. Sunday morning, Mary received a call. She went out to the balcony to answer, speaking very quietly, but I still caught a few keywords. Tonight, miss you hotel. After hanging up, she returned to the living room with a sweet smile I had never seen before. George, I have dinner with a client tonight. Might be late. The same excuse again. What kind of client is so important that you have to entertain them on the weekend? I asked, pretending to care. A big project. It's related to my promotion. Her eyes darted nervously. Then should I take you there? No need. They'll pick me up. She refused quickly. In the afternoon, Mary started dressing up carefully. She changed 3 outfits before finally choosing a tight black dress and applied exquisite makeup. I had never seen her dress so carefully for work. Are you sure it's a work dinner? I asked again. Of course, what else? She was a bit impatient. Then I'll wait for you to come back. Don't wait. It might be very late. You should go to bed early. At 6 in the evening, a black Maserati stopped downstairs. I looked out the window and confirmed the driver was Mark. Mary hurried downstairs and got into the car. I saw Mark get out to open the door for her, very gentlemanly, and they even hugged. How could this be a work relationship? After they left, I immediately took action. I drove behind them, keeping a safe distance. The Maserati finally stopped at the most luxurious 5-star hotel in the city center. I watched Mary and Mark walk hand in hand into the hotel lobby, my heart aching. To avoid suspicion, I sat in a coffee shop across from the hotel, watching the hotel entrance through the window. At 10 at night, I received a WeChat message from Mary, still discussing the project with the client. You go to sleep first. But she was clearly inside the hotel and had been there for 4 hours. Who needs to discuss work for 4 hours inside a hotel? I decided to take a risk and enter the hotel. I tidied my clothes and walked into the hotel lobby. Pretending to wait for someone, I sat on a sofa while watching the elevator for display. 20 minutes later, I saw Mary and Mark come out of the elevator. Mary's hair was a bit messy, her face flushed, looking completely different from when she went in. Mark's suit was wrinkled, and his tie was crooked. They kissed goodbye in the lobby, their intimacy making me want to vomit. I quickly hid behind a pillar and took photos of their embrace with my phone. This was the ironclad evidence. Mary took a taxi away, and Mark drove the Maserati in another direction. I also took a taxi home, arriving half an hour before Mary. She came back at midnight. How did the meeting go? I asked. Okay, the project is basically settled. She avoided my gaze. What about the client? Easy to get along with. Pretty good, very professional. Male or female? Male, in his 40s, has a family. I almost laughed out loud. Over 40? Mark is clearly only in his early 30s. Has a family? Then why was he in a hotel with my fiancée for 4 hours? Mary, you're tired? Get some rest early, I said. I'm going to take a shower, she hurriedly went into the bathroom again. I took the opportunity to check her bag and found the hotel room card. The room number was 2508, the presidential suite. I immediately looked up the price online, about $9,000 per night. What kind of business entertainment requires booking the presidential suite? I took a photo of the room card for evidence, then put it back. Now I have enough proof. 1. She said she was getting a spa treatment, but she was actually accompanying a man to buy clothes. 2. She said she was at a beauty salon, but she was actually on a date at a French restaurant. 3. She said she was working social engagements, but she was actually booking a hotel room. 4. Her bag contains a spa membership card given to her by a man. 5. Her wallet hides intimate photos of her and the man. 6. I saw them kissing in the hotel lobby with my own eyes. These pieces of evidence are enough to prove that my fiancée Mary is betraying our relationship. But I want to know more. Who exactly is this Mark? How long has their relationship lasted? Why did Mary choose to betray me? Our wedding is less than a month away. How does she plan to handle this relationship? Now is not the time to be angry, but to gather more evidence. I want to know how foolish it is to deceive a programmer. Starting tomorrow, I will use more advanced technical methods. I will hack into her social accounts, check all her chat records, and uncover the whole story. Then, at the most appropriate moment, I will deliver a fatal blow. This game, I intend to win completely. Monday morning, Mary got up earlier than usual. She carefully put on makeup in front of the mirror and changed into a new outfit I had never seen before. Any important plans today? I asked casually. No, just want to be more energetic at work, she replied without looking up. But I knew things were not that simple. After she left, I immediately began my technical investigation. As a senior programmer, I have enough skills to crack all her account passwords. First was WeChat. Her WeChat password is our anniversary date, which has never changed. After logging in, I started checking her recent chat records. Sure enough, in the pinned chats, I saw a contact named Mark. Opening the chat, the content made me furious. Mark, baby, you were so beautiful last night. Mary, stop it. Don't say that on WeChat. Mark, then I'll say it to you in person next time. Mary, you're so bad. Mark, what do you want to eat tonight? I'll arrange it. Mary, I'll follow your choice. Mark, then let's book that Italian restaurant, and then we'll go see the sea. Mary, sounds great. I'm looking forward to it. I kept scrolling up and found their chat history goes back 2 months. That means, just as we were setting the wedding date, she had already started an affair with another man. What made me even angrier was that Mark sent her many photos of expensive gifts, Chanel bags, Tiffany jewelry, luxury cosmetics. And Mary's replies were all sappy phrases like, thank you, hubby, you're so good to me. Hubby? She actually calls another man hubby? Then what am I? I held back my anger and continued reading the chat records. In a conversation from a month ago, I saw this. Mary, George has been working overtime a lot lately, so we have more time together. Mark, he's such a nerd. All he can do is write code. Mary, yeah, being with him is boring, not as fun as with you. Mark, when you break up with him, I'll make our relationship public. Mary, break up? We're getting married next month. Mark, married? Can you bear to leave me? Mary, of course not. But if we break up, what about the down payment on the house? Mark, I'll buy the house. How big do you want it? Mary, really? You're so good. Mark, of course, my company is doing very well this year. Reading this, I finally understood. It turns out Mary never intended to marry me. She was just using me. She and Mark had already been planning their future, and I was merely a tool. I kept looking and found even more shocking content. Mary actually sent our private photos to Mark, including intimate pictures of us at home. She also described our house layout, savings amount, and family situation to Mark in detail. The worst part was that she sent Mark screenshots of the love letters I wrote to her, and the two of them laughed together at my corny love talk. My hands trembled, and anger nearly made me lose my mind. But I forced myself to calm down. Anger is useless now. I need more evidence. I opened her Alipay and banking apps to check the transaction history. Sure enough, in the past 2 months, her account had received many large transfers, each amounting to tens of thousands of dollars. The sender was listed as Mark. In other words, this man had been giving her money all along. She used this money to buy luxury goods, get beauty treatments, treat friends to meals, living a life far beyond our income level. I had always thought she got a promotion and a raise, but it turned out she had a sugar daddy supporting her. I continued investigating and found out Mark is the owner of an advertising company, 32 years old, single, with a net worth of tens of millions of dollars. Mary met him at a friend's party and then started this secret affair. She often went to Mark's company on weekends to help out, but in reality, she was dating him. The overtime, business trips, and class reunions she mentioned were all lies. She and Mark had been living like a married couple for 2 months, while I was foolishly preparing for the wedding. What I couldn't accept the most was that she had even discussed with Mark how to dump me. Mark suggested she break up a week before the wedding, citing incompatibility. That way, she could get a breakup settlement and maintain her image. And I, like a clown, was completely played by her. I took a deep breath and closed WeChat. Now that I had enough evidence, it was time to make a counterattack plan. Since she wanted to play games, I would play along to the end. But this time, I would set the rules. I would make her realize how serious the consequences are for betraying a programmer. At noon, Mary sent me a WeChat message. Having lunch with colleagues today, won't be home. I checked her location with tracking software. She was at a high-end Japanese restaurant downtown. I immediately drove there. Through the restaurant's floor-to-ceiling window, I saw Mary and Mark sitting by the window, dining intimately. Mark kept serving Mary food, and Mary smiled shyly, looking like a couple deeply in love. I took out my phone and recorded the scene. Then I made a bold decision: confront them face to face. I pushed open the restaurant door and walked straight to their table. "Mary, is this what you call having lunch with colleagues?" Mary turned pale the moment she saw me, and the chopsticks in her hand fell to the floor. "George, what are you doing here?" Her voice trembled. "I should be asking you that. Didn't you say you were having lunch with colleagues? Which colleague is this?" I looked at Mark. Mark was calm, elegantly put down his chopsticks, and stood up. "You must be George, right?" "I'm Mark, Mary's friend." "Friend? What kind of friend treats her to such an expensive Japanese meal on a workday?" "We're discussing a cooperation project." Mark smiled and said, "What kind of project requires 2 people to talk alone, and in such a romantic setting?" Mary finally came to her senses. "George, don't misunderstand. Mark really is my client." "Client?" I sneered. "That client sure cares about you, even got you SBA membership card." Mary's face turned even paler. "What are you talking about?" I took out my phone and showed a photo of the SBA card from her bag. The cardholder is Mr. Mark, but the user is you. Is this normal for a client relationship? Mark's expression finally changed. "Are you spying on Mary?" "I'm protecting my fiancée." I emphasized the word fiancé. "As for spying, do you think it's spying if my fiancé is checking into a hotel room with another man?" Mary suddenly stood up. "George, what nonsense are you talking about?" "Nonsense." I took out my phone again. "Last night, room 2508 at Huame Hotel. You 2 stayed inside for 4 hours. Is that a project discussion?" Mark's face darkened. "George, following us like this is illegal." "Illegal? Then what is cheating? What is betrayal?" My voice was trembling. Other diners in the restaurant started paying attention to us, and a waiter came over. "Sir, please lower your voice and don't disturb other guests," the waiter said. "Sorry, we'll finish soon." I looked at Mary. "Now I'm giving you a chance. Honestly, tell me what your relationship is." Tears welled up in Mary's eyes. "George, it's not what you think." "What is it then?" "Explain why there are intimate photos of him on your phone. Why in your chat history does he call you baby and you call him husband?" At this, Mark completely lost his composure. "You looked at Mary's phone? What's wrong with me looking at my fiancé's phone? Is there a problem?" "George, let's break up," Mary suddenly said. The restaurant fell silent instantly. I was stunned for a moment. "What?" I said, "Let's break up." Mary wiped her tears. "You're right. I have been with Mark." "Since when?" 2 months ago." "What?" Because you can't give me the life I want. Her voice was calm. You're just a programmer with a small monthly salary. We even had to borrow money for the down payment on a house. But Mark is different. He can give me a better life. So you betrayed the 3 years we had together? George, we were never right for each other. You only know how to write code, no romance, no life skills. With you, I see no future. Then why did you agree to marry me? Because I wanted to give us one last chance, but after meeting Mark, I realized what true love is. Looking at this woman, I suddenly felt like a stranger. Fine, I agree. We'll break up. I said, but there are a few things to clarify. What things? First, all the expenses from living together for 3 years, including rent, living costs, your cosmetics, clothes, totaling over $27,000. You need to pay me back. Second, the engagement ring I bought with 3 months' salary, worth over $4,000. You also need to return. Third, the $15,000 plus deposit we paid together for the house needs to be divided proportionally. Fourth, after we break up, you need to move out of the house we're currently living in immediately. Mary was stunned. George, isn't this too heartless of you? Heartless? I laughed. Compared to your betrayal, what is this? Mark stood up. George, I can pay her that money. No need. This is between us. I looked at Mary. Do you agree? Mary bit her lip and after a long pause said, I don't have that much money right now. It's okay. I can allow installments, $1,500 a month, paid off in 2 years. Also, you need to write an IOU. George, you've changed. Tears streamed down Mary's face again. You changed first. I turned and left. By 8 p.m. tomorrow, I want to see the IOU in your luggage. Walking out of the restaurant, I took a deep breath. Although my heart hurt, I had to do this. Since she chose to betray me, she must bear the cost of betrayal. When I got home that night, Mary was already packing. She carefully put her clothes and makeup into several large suitcases, as if afraid to disturb me. Did you write the IOU? I asked. She took a piece of paper from her bag and handed it to me. I did. I took it and looked. The handwriting was neat, the amount accurate, and it was stamped with her fingerprint. When will you start repaying? I asked. Starting next month, $1,500 a month. Her voice was very soft. Okay. I put away the IOU. Anything else to say? She looked up at me. George, I'm sorry. No need to be sorry. You just chose the life you think is better. Will you hate me? Hate? I thought for a moment. Maybe, but more than that, I'm disappointed. Disappointed about what? Disappointed that you never gave our relationship a chance. In 3 years, you never seriously talked to me about your thoughts or needs. You just silently endured, then betrayed me. Mary lowered her head. I thought you understood. I'm not a mind reader. How could I understand everything? Relationships need communication and honesty. Is it meaningful to say this now? No, it's not. I turned and walked to the balcony. Finish packing and leave. 10 minutes later, the sound of a car horn came from outside. It was Mark coming to pick her up. Mary dragged her suitcase to the door, looked back at me once. George, thank you for taking care of me these 3 years. No need to thank me. We loved each other once. She left, and our 3-year relationship ended just like that. I sat on the sofa, looking at the empty room, my feelings mixed. It would be a lie to say I wasn't sad, but I also felt relieved. Rather than forcing a marriage with someone who doesn't love me, it's better to end it early. I took out my phone and started handling the follow-up matters. First was canceling the wedding hotel, losing over $3,000 in deposit, but better than divorcing after marriage. Then notifying both sets of parents. My parents were shocked, but supported my decision. Mary's parents called to question me, saying I didn't know how to cherish their daughter. I didn't explain much, just said our personalities didn't match. Finally, handling our shared property. She gave up the house deposit, and I transferred all the money from the bank card. This money was what we saved over 3 years, now all mine. Calculated, my loss wasn't big, mainly time and emotional investment. As for Mary, she owes me over $46,000 and lost someone who truly loved her. Who gains and who loses, time will tell. The next day was Tuesday. I took a day off and stayed home to tidy up the room. I cleared out all of Mary's things and then redecorated. In the afternoon, I received a call from an unknown number. "Hello, is this George? This is Mark. Is there something you want?" My tone was cold. "I want to meet and talk about Mary." "What's there to talk about?" "She's already chosen you. About the money she owes you. I can pay it all off in one lump sum." I thought for a moment. "Fine, where shall we meet?" "The Starbucks downtown in an hour." An hour later, I arrived at Starbucks on time. Mark was already there, with a black briefcase in front of him. "George, thanks for coming." He stood up and shook my hand. "Get straight to the point." I didn't bother with pleasantries. "About the $46,000 Mary owes you. I can pay you now." He opened the briefcase, revealing thick stacks of cash. "Why?" "Because I don't want her to have any burdens. This is between her and me. It's none of your business. She's my girlfriend now, so her matters are mine." I looked at him and suddenly understood. "You want to completely cut off her ties with me?" "You could put it that way. If she repays monthly, it means she has to keep in contact with me for 2 years. And you don't want that." "Smart." Mark smiled. "I really don't want her involved with her ex." "Then why should I agree? Collecting $1,500 from her every month, watching her worry about money. Isn't that fun?" Mark's smile stiffened. "What do you want?" "I don't want the money." I said, "I want her to repay in person, on time, every month. That's her responsibility." "George, why bother? Isn't it better for everyone to part on good terms?" "Part on good terms?" I sneered. "Then why did she betray me in the first place? Why lie? Why put on a show in front of me? Matters of the heart are complicated, not complicated. She wanted a better life, so she chose you. I can understand that, but betrayal is betrayal, and it has consequences." Mark was silent for a moment. "Do you know why she chose me? Because you have money. Not just because of money." His tone was a bit smug. "It's because I know how to love a woman." "Oh, how do you love her?" "Give her romance, surprises, the life she wants. Not like you, who only knows how to write code every day with no sense of romance." "You're right." I nodded. "So you two are a good match. Since you know that, why keep clinging?" "I'm not clinging. I just want what's rightfully mine." I stood up. "I won't take the money. Let her repay monthly. That way, you two can experience real-life pressure and see how long your relationship lasts." With that, I turned and left. Mark shouted after me, "George, you'll regret this." I didn't look back. This game was just beginning. A month later, Mary transferred the first repayment as promised. Exactly $1,500, not a cent less. I checked the transfer record and saw the sender was Mark. Looks like she still had this sugar daddy repay on her behalf. But that didn't matter. What mattered was that this repayment process would last 2 years. 2 years was enough time for a lot to happen. Another month passed, and the second repayment arrived on time. This time, the sender was still Mark. I started to get curious about their current life situation. Through WeChat moments, I learned that Mary had already resigned from her previous company and was now working at Mark's advertising agency. The photos she posted were all from upscale restaurants, luxury handbags, fancy cars, and travels, making it look like she was living a comfortable life. But I knew it was all just a facade. If a woman were truly happy, she wouldn't have to try so hard to show off her happiness on social media. In the third month, an accident happened. 3 days past the repayment date, I still hadn't received the transfer. I sent Mary a WeChat message. "What about this month's repayment?" She quickly replied, "Sorry, I've been busy these days. I'll transfer it tomorrow." But even a week later, I still hadn't received the money. I messaged again. "How much longer do I have to wait?" This time she took a long time to reply. "George, can you give me a few more days? The company has been having some problems recently." Company problems? I immediately started investigating Mark's company situation. Through a business information search, I found that his advertising agency was indeed in trouble. 2 months ago, the company's biggest client canceled their cooperation due to issues with the advertising plan, resulting in a direct loss of over $3 million. Now, the company was laying off staff and facing cash flow problems. It seemed Mark wasn't a successful businessman after all, just a nouveau riche. The real test was just beginning. I replied to Mary, The contract clearly states that repayments must be made on time every month, with no grace period. She sent a crying emoji. George, we used to be lovers. Can you make an exception? Precisely because we used to be lovers, I cannot tolerate your breach of trust. I promise to repay everything next month. Fine, repay everything next month, but with a late fee of 0.5% per day. What? That's way too high. That's the clause you signed and agreed to. Indeed, when I wrote the IOU, I had included this clause. Mary was in a hurry to move out at the time and signed without reading carefully. Now she was feeling the consequences. A week's late fee amounted to over $500, which was not a small sum for her now. 3 days later, she transferred me $1,500 plus over $500 in late fees, totaling more than $2,000. This time, the remitter was herself. It seemed Mark was no longer willing to pay off her debts. I guess there might be conflicts between them. Sure enough, a month later, I heard from mutual friends that Mary and Mark had quarreled. The reason was that Mark's company went bankrupt. He not only had no money to buy luxury goods for Mary, but was also relying on her salary to get by. Mary felt deceived and began doubting Mark's financial strength. Mark, on the other hand, thought Mary was too materialistic, caring only about money and not about him. Their relationship started to crack. What was more interesting was that Mary began actively contacting our mutual friends to inquire about my current situation. Friends told me the questions she asked most were whether I had a new girlfriend and how I was doing now. I asked my friends to tell her that I was doing very well, had been promoted and given a raise, and was even considering buying a house. All of this was true. Without Mary's burden, I threw myself into work wholeheartedly. My performance skyrocketed, the company raised my salary, and I was promoted. I was indeed looking at apartments, planning to buy a small unit. When Mary heard this news, I heard she looked very unhappy. She might have started regretting her past choices. In the 5th month, her repayment was delayed again. This time it was 2 weeks late, with late fees exceeding $1,000. I didn't urge her, just waited quietly. She eventually transferred the money, over $2,500. But I could feel her pressure growing heavier. In the 6th month, an unexpected call shattered the calm. George, it's me, Mary. Her voice was choked with tears. What's wrong? Mark and I broke up. I said nothing, waiting for her to continue. His company went bankrupt, and now he's drowning in debt. And I found out he has another woman. So, I want to ask, is there still a chance for us? Hearing that question, I laughed. Mary, do you think I'm a trash can? You throw me away when you don't need me, and pick me up when you do. No. Im sincere? Sincere? How much is your sincerity worth? George, I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Good that you know. Now focus on paying off your debts. I'm unemployed now. Mark's company collapsed, and I lost my job too. Then find new job. George, can you help me? Help you? Why? Because we once loved each other. Then why did you betray that love? She started crying on the phone, but my heart had already gone cold. Mary, listen, your debts must be repaid on time, no exceptions. As for us, there can be no relationship anymore. After saying that, I hung up. That is the price of betrayal. She chose what she called a better life, and now she must bear the consequences of that choice. As for me, I had already embarked on a new path in life. In the 7th month, Mary's repayment was delayed again. This time it was a full month late, with late fees exceeding $2,000. I didn't contact her proactively, but waited for her to reach out. Sure enough, at the end of the month, she called. George, I really have no money now. Her voice was exhausted. That's your problem. Can you waive some of the late fees? I really can't pay. The contract terms are clear, no waivers. George, do you have to be so heartless? Heartless? When you betrayed me, did you consider my feelings? I've already gotten my comeuppance. Mark lied to me. He never had that much money, and his company went bankrupt. I have nothing now. Those are your own choices. I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Then pay your debts properly. I'm unemployed now. Job hunting isn't going well. I really can't pay this much. I thought for a moment. All right, I'll give you a chance. What chance? Her voice held hope. You come to my company for an interview. If you pass, I'll consider adjusting your repayment plan. Really? Of course. But let me be clear, the interview will be strict, and even if you're hired, you won't get special treatment because of our relationship. I understand. I'll work hard. A week later, Mary showed up at our company's interview site. She looked much more haggard, no longer the glamorous woman she used to be. The interviewer was my colleague. I just sat nearby observing. During the interview, Mary was very nervous, and her answers were not smooth. Her professional skills were indeed weak, and her experience insufficient. In such fierce competition, it was hard to stand out. In the end, she didn't pass the interview. George, can you give me one more chance? After the interview, she approached me privately. The interview results are objective. I won't change the company's decision because of personal ties. Then what should I do? Keep looking for a job or find other ways to pay back the money? What other ways? I looked at her. That depends on your sincerity. She seemed to understand what I meant. Her face darkened. George, you've changed. It's the environment that changed me, I said calmly. I used to be too naive, thinking love could conquer all. Now I know that love without a material foundation is just a castle in the air. How is what you're doing different from Mark? There's a big difference. He deceived you. I'm educating you. Educating me about what? Educating you about the cost of betrayal. Educating you about what integrity means. Tears streamed down Mary's face. Don't you have any feelings left for the past? Feelings for the past. I sneered. When you were booking hotel rooms with other men, where was the past? When you were spending other people's money on luxury goods, where was the past? When you called someone else's husband on WeChat, where was the past? She was speechless. Mary, we're over. Now, between us, there's only a debtor-creditor relationship, nothing else. After saying that, I turned and left. But things didn't end there. The next day, I received a call from an unfamiliar man. Hello, I'm Michael, Mary's brother. What can I do for you? I want to talk to you about my sister. About what? About the money she owes you. That's her personal debt. It has nothing to do with you. She's my sister, and I can't just watch her be driven into a dead end. A dead end? I found it a bit ridiculous. She just needs to take responsibility. $46,000+ is too much for her. She simply can't pay it back. That's something she should have considered when she signed the contract. George, you used to be lovers, can't you? Precisely because we used to be lovers, I can't let her off the hook. I cut him off. If you really care about your sister, let her find a proper job and pay back the debt honestly. You're pushing her to a dead end. A dead end? I sneered. Why didn't she think about the consequences when she betrayed someone? Now it's hard, huh? George, leave some room for kindness. It's better for future encounters. Future encounters? We won't see each other again. After hanging up, I felt tired. These people all think I'm taking revenge on Mary, but I'm just sticking to principles. Debts must be repaid. It's only right and proper. No matter what our past was, now she is my debtor, nothing more. A month later, Mary finally found a new job. She became a designer at a small company. The salary wasn't high, but at least she had an income. She started repaying monthly, sometimes a few days late, but overall she was trustworthy. Our only contact was the monthly transfer records. No calls, no WeChat messages, no meetings. Like two strangers. That was fine. Clean and clear, no debts between us. Another 6 months passed, and I met my current girlfriend, Emma. She was a new UI designer at our company, cheerful and diligent. We went from colleagues to lovers naturally. Emma knew about my past and about Mary. She didn't show jealousy or resentment, just said, let the past be the past. We need to look forward. I cherish this new relationship. After experiencing betrayal, I understand better what true love is. It's not passion or romance, but mutual respect, understanding, and support. A year later, Emma and I got engaged. On the day of the engagement, I received a WeChat message from Mary. Congratulations on finding happiness. I didn't reply. Let the past be the past. As Emma said, we need to look forward. Mary's repayments continued. She was now punctual and almost never late. From the transfer records, she seemed to be living frugally, with almost no large expenses each month besides repaying me. This was a stark contrast to her previously extravagant lifestyle. But none of that concerned me anymore. Another 6 months passed, and an unexpected piece of news came. Mark, burdened by heavy debts, had a car accident while being chased by debt collectors and was now lying in the hospital. Hearing this, I felt nothing. This man who once stole my fiancée was now only getting what he deserved. But what surprised me was that Mary actually went to the hospital to take care of him. A friend told me that Mark's family ignored him, and only Mary visited him daily. I couldn't understand why she would do that. This man had caused her so much pain. Why would she continue to entangle herself with him? It wasn't until a month later that I understood the reason. Mark died. The injuries from the accident were too severe, and he couldn't be saved. Mary, as his sole caregiver, took on all his medical expenses. The cost was over $20,000, nearly exhausting her savings. Even more surprising, Mark had made a will before he died, leaving his only remaining property to Mary. But this property was also burdened with huge debts. Mary now faced a choice: accept the inheritance and take on the debts, or give up the inheritance and lose her only asset. I didn't know what she would choose, but it was no longer my concern. I had a new life, a new love, and didn't want to be disturbed by the past anymore. But fate seemed to enjoy playing tricks. Just 1 month after Mark's death, Mary appeared downstairs at my company. She looked much thinner, pale, and her eyes were full of exhaustion. "George, I want to talk to you," she said. "There's nothing to talk about." I was about to leave. "It's about the repayments." I stopped. "What do you mean?" "I might not be able to continue repaying on time for a while." "Why?" "Mark's medical bills and his debts. I'm now drowning in debt." "That's your choice, not mine." "George, I'm begging you, give me some more time." "How much time?" 1 year, at most 1 year. I will find a way to pay it all back." I looked at this once proud woman, now begging me. It wasn't easy to swallow, but I had little sympathy. "Impossible," I said. "A contract is a contract, no exceptions." "Then what do you want to do?" "Settle it through legal means." Her face turned even paler. "You're going to sue me? If you breach the contract, I will consider it." "George, do you really want to be ruthless?" "I'm not being ruthless. I just want what's rightfully mine. But I really can't right now, then find a way to make it possible." With that, I turned and left. But I knew this wasn't over. Mary was now desperate and might do something extreme. I needed to be prepared. Sure enough, a few days later, I received a court summons. Mary was suing me, claiming my interest was usurious and asking the court to mediate. Seeing the summons, I laughed. Did she think this would let her escape the debt? How naive. I immediately contacted a lawyer and prepared to respond to the lawsuit. Since she wanted to settle this in court, I would see it through to the end. The final stage of this game had begun. And I was fully confident because I had a complete chain of evidence of the legal contract and an IOU written by her own hand. The law would prove who was right and who was wrong. The day of the hearing arrived. I appeared in court wearing a suit, accompanied by my lawyer and all the evidence materials. Mary was there too, with only a young-looking lawyer by her side. The judge was a middle-aged woman who looked very serious. "Now we will begin the trial." The judge tapped the gavel. "Plaintiff, please state the facts." Mary's lawyer stood up. "Your Honor, my client believes the interest set by the defendant is excessively high, exceeding the legal limit, and constitutes usury." "Do you have any evidence?" the judge asked. "This is the loan contract and the IOU." The lawyer submitted the materials. The judge carefully reviewed them. "Does the defendant have anything to say?" My lawyer stood up. "Your Honor, this contract was voluntarily signed by both parties. The interest terms were agreed upon in advance and are within the legal limits." "Specifically, how much?" "A late fee of 0.5% per day with an annualized interest rate of about 18%, which complies with the laws on private lending." The judge nodded. "Does the plaintiff have any other reasons?" Mary's lawyer continued. "My client believes the defendant is using a personal relationship dispute to carry out economic retaliation, which is improper behavior. Please provide evidence. They were once in a romantic relationship. After breaking up, the defendant demanded the plaintiff repay all expenses incurred during the relationship, which is clearly retaliatory. Hearing this, I stood up. Your Honor, I would like to rebut. Please go ahead. First, all these expenses have clear receipts and transfer records. They are not joint expenses during the relationship, but my personal expenditures. Second, the reason for the breakup was the plaintiff's infidelity, betraying our relationship, and there is evidence for this. Third, the IOU was written voluntarily by the plaintiff, with no coercion. I signaled my lawyer to submit the evidence materials. These included screenshots of chat records between Mary and Mark, photos of hotel bookings, intimate photos, and so on. The judge carefully examined the evidence, her expression growing more serious. Does the plaintiff have anything to say about this evidence? Mary lowered her head and said nothing. Her lawyer also looked embarrassed. Is the source of this evidence legal? My lawyer replied, these are all actions by the parties themselves and do not involve privacy violations. The WeChat chat records were found on the parties' phones, and the photos were taken in public places. The judge continued reviewing the materials, then asked Mary, do you object to this evidence? Mary shook her head. No objections. Then do you admit to the infidelity? I admit it. Her voice was very soft. The judge nodded. Now we will enter the mediation phase. Are both parties willing to settle out of court? My lawyer said, my client is willing to partially waive some of the accrued late fees, but the principal must be repaid in full. Mary's lawyer said, my client hopes to repay in installments and extend the repayment period. The judge looked at me. What is the defendant's opinion? I stood up. Your Honor, I can waive the accrued late fees, but the repayment period cannot be extended. It must be repaid within 1 year. Does the plaintiff agree? Mary looked up at me, tears in her eyes. I agree. The judge tapped the gavel. Very well. Then the case will proceed according to this plan. The defendant waived the late fees, and the plaintiff agreed to repay the principal of more than $38,000 within 1 year, with monthly payments of over $3,100. If there is another default, the defendant has the right to apply for enforcement. Do either party have any objections to this mediation plan? No objections. We answered simultaneously. Good. Now sign the mediation agreement. After signing the mediation agreement, we left the courtroom. Mary was waiting for me at the door. George, thank you, she said. For what? Thank you for waiving the late fees. I just didn't want to waste any more time. I will repay on time. I definitely will. Better be so. George, I really know I was wrong. I looked at her and recalled the good times we once had. But those were all in the past. Mary, life has no ifs, only results. You chose to betray, so you must bear the consequences. I understand. I hope you truly understand. After saying this, I turned and walked away. That was our last conversation. From then on, we never saw each other again. Every month, she transferred the money to my account on time. For a whole year, never late. A year later, when the last payment arrived, all ties between us were completely severed. I deleted her contact information and erased all memories of her. At the same time, I married Emma. The wedding was simple but warm. No lavish displays, no expensive diamond rings, but sincere love and beautiful hopes for the future. This was the life I wanted. Years later, I heard by chance that Mary married an ordinary engineer and lived a plain but stable life. She never pursued luxury again, nor did she betray anyone again. Perhaps, after experiencing that pain, she finally understood what truly matters. As for me, I no longer cared about her life, because I had my own happiness and a love worth cherishing.